Good evening, everyone. Here we are at Greek Lesson 8, start of a new term, and we have got lots of very exciting things to learn. And we have laid a foundation in term 1 that now enables us to read the Greek New Testament in class. And of course, we can't read every word in the Greek New Testament because we've only learnt about between maybe, 4%, something like that of them. And we don't know lots of the grammar, the more tricky grammar. But last term we learned about verbs in the present tense: luo, lues, lue, luomen, lueta, luusen. And we also learned about masculine nouns, feminine nouns, and neuter nouns. Masculine ones: logos, logon, logu, logo, logoi, logus, logon, logois. And the feminine ones like archi, archi, arcane, archis, archi, archai, archas, archon, and archais. And there are a number of other slight differences in some other feminine nouns, not very many. And then the neuter nouns like ergon, ergon, ergu, ergo, erga, erga, ergon, ergois. I hope I got that right. And then, and that is a really helpful foundation to start with. Okay. We also started learning about prepositions, and we're going to see some prepositions, some more prepositions in today's lesson. So these two lessons on prepositions give us a chance to really reinforce what we learned about the masculine, feminine, and neuter nouns. I think we even did some adjectives in term 1. So um, we have a good foundation then. And tonight we're going to first of all look at John chapter 1. We had some exercises from it in our homework. So I'm going to put it up on the screen. We're getting a bit of feedback here, echo. I wonder whether that is there some way. Maybe if we mute John. Thanks, John. Let me just put this up. Okay, go for it, John. Have a read through number 1, and after you finish number 1, I'll have a go at any comments and so on down through the exercise.
Yep. Cool. It was exactly the same as the 11 question 11 just now, which is anarchy ein ho logos. In the beginning, it was the word.
Very good. No problems there. All right. Keep on going.
And then the second one is kai ho logos ein pros ton theon. I've got, and the word was two words. I guess it's better to be with, to be translated as with God.
Very good. So most of our English Bibles translate that pros preposition as with, but you can see from your knowledge of Greek so far that there's something slightly more than the normal word with. There are prepositions for with that could have been used, but this is more the idea of facing, and you have this personal interaction face to face that is being pictured here. It doesn't come across in English very well. But you notice that the word prosopon is similar to the word prosopon means face. It is built from this word pros, and it means towards the appearance, prosopon. And so we have this idea of almost face-to-face fellowship. And this is what the Bible teaches, that before the world was, the Father and the Son had this fellowship of love and this fellowship of interpersonal relationship. And that is conveyed in this word pros. Okay, let's keep on going.
Yep. Next one is Kai Theos and Ho Logos. And I've got, and the word was God.
Okay. And that is the correct way to translate it. You'll see that the word order is differently set up. And we will learn in a few lessons' time why that is the correct way to translate that sentence, as opposed to and God was the Word.
Yep.
That is not the right way to translate it. The way you translate it, the way our English Bibles translate it, is correct. And the reason has to do with the absence of the definite article before God, before theos. That tells us that actually it's theos that is the word that goes at the end of the sentence rather than the beginning. We'll learn a bit more about that in a few weeks' time. So let's keep on going through John chapter 1, question 4.
Just a moment, just trying to jot down something. The absence of the means that it goes to the back.
Yep. We will find out there are a number of rules to do with definite articles that are incredibly important for understanding Greek. And there are two rules in particular called Colwell's rule and the Granville-Sharp rule, that both of them have to do with articles, the, and the absence or the presence of them in certain constructions are very significant. And this is one of them. Anyway, we'll come back to that. And particularly the debates over John chapter 1, verse 1. For example, some people like the Jehovah's Witnesses, they translate this verse and the word was a God, because there's no the there. They say the word was a God, little g. And are they right? Well, they could be, but there is another explanation that is grammatically possible and contextually it's much more convincing. And that is that the sentence should read, and the word was God, the God, even though there's no article in there before God. So we will come, let me just have a look. I'll tell you what lesson this rule comes into. Dear me, I can't find it here. Here we go. So it is where are we? Yeah, lesson 16 and lesson 17. So that's a little way off, but we will, it's a bit more advanced stuff for us to be considering at this moment. But in lessons 16 and 17, we'll learn some of these very powerful but slightly complex rules about the presence or absence and the usage of the little word the, and the meaning that is attached to it. So let's keep on going. Number 4.
Number 4, autos and archi pros ton theon. Nice. I've had he was in the beginning to with God.
Yes. Okay. Now, in the KJV, it translates it the same was in the beginning with God. And we're going to find out that that is legitimate. It's possible to translate it that way. But it's missing something in a sense, because the sort of adjective, or it's the pronoun here, he, it also is an adjective meaning the same. And so we talk about an automobile. It moves of itself. The same thing moves itself. So autos can mean same, and it can mean he. But the interesting thing here is that in verse 2 of John chapter 1, the word autos is used, And that tells us that the Word is actually a person. We could gather perhaps from verse 1 that the Logos is an immaterial, impersonal force or something. But in chapter 1, verse 2, it starts off with autos, which tells us that the Word is actually a person. He was with God in the beginning. So that is incredibly important for understanding John chapter 1, that the Word of John 1:1 is a person. And this is how it conveys that meaning, by using the word autos there. Okay, number 5.
Number 5. En auto Zoe ein. In him was life.
Very good. So we've seen in all of these verses the little word ein, which is the past tense of esten. He, she, or it was. And we'll find out the full, all the full forms of esten later on, but we needed to learn this one just because it's so common here in John chapter 1. So in him was life. In him life was. Okay, number 6. Now let me just
Before that, Andrew, would it also be valid to translate it as life was in him then?
Yes, you could.
It means the same, I guess.
Yeah.
Yep, that's right. Okay, so number 6 is egeneto anthropos apo theo, and then kalumen auton. Was it? Yeah. This is. I think it's Joseph instead of Jesus. You can't be sure,
It's
but
John. So Ioannis.
oh, John. Yes, of course. Yeah, of course.
So
Yeah.
in various European languages, they have their different forms of John. In Spanish, they have Juan, and you can see where they get it from. The I functions as a J, so the J in Juan is like it's almost a vowel, not a consonant. J, and they have UAN. In Dutch, it's Johannes, and you can see even more clearly Joannes. So this is the word for John, and different languages pronounce it differently. But in Greek, it's Ioannis.
Ioannis.
Yeah.
Okay. So that HI A is like Yoa.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right. So he became a man from God. We call him John. It can't be right. He became a man.
not bad. Now, this word egeneto, it is the past tense form of the verb ginomai. And ginomai is it's like a wild card verb in Greek. It is like the word esten or Amy, I am, he is. And it does a lot of service in verbs of being. So the best way to just hold on to it in your mind is to think of it as I become or I became in the past tense. But it is used in all sorts of interesting ways. And here it's just basically it's synonymous with he was. And like the past tense of is. So it can be translated, this word ginomai, as I become, I happen, I came, even in some circumstances, I am. And it's a wild card word that you can basically plug into lots of sentences. And it fills in as a sort of synonym to break the repetitiveness of just using estin all the time in some places. So the way we translate this here in most Bibles is, there was a man from God, or
Okay.
there was a man who came from God. Let's see what all the Bible versions say. There was a man sent from God. Now, we haven't got the word sent in our sentence there, but
Yeah.
most Bibles just translated it, there was a man from God. So you can see it's very, very difficult to pin down the definition of this word. It just is such a useful word to plug into all sorts of sentences. There was a man from God. We call him John. Now, that's not exactly the Greek used in John chapter 1, verse 6. But there's a few words in John chapter 6 we don't know yet. So we've just skipped a few and made it simplified. It's a fusion between Greek and Andrew's student's level of Greek. All right, number 7.
Number 7. Ento Cosmo and Kai Cosmos. No, this isn't Cosmos. That's there's a new word. I think that's a typo there, but Cosmos dia auto egneto.
Okay, now I'm sorry. I always run into this problem of forgetting where we're up to in the vocabulary when I make up exercises. So we're going to learn this word dia today.
Dia is we've learned about dia, but that Cosmos.
Yes, yeah, that should be cosmos. I've written that wrong.
Yep.
Good. Okay, I'll try and correct that. You can see the correct spelling in the first part of the sentence.
Yeah, that's right. And I have, he was in the world, and the world was made through him.
Very good. Now, maybe a slightly more literal translation would be, he was in the world, and the world through him happened, or it was. But it's more than just was; it came to be. So, whereas the verb estin and ein speaks of a state of existence, here egeneto is used to contrast that with the fact that the world, it was not always there, but it was made, it happened, it became. So I become is the dictionary sort of one-stop definition for egeneto. Now you need a whole train line of stops to cover all the ways in which it's translated, but that's the basic idea. Something that comes into existence that was not there before, to become. So he was in the world, and the world became through him. Okay. All right. Number 8.
Yep, number 8. Kai ho logos anthropos egeneto kai ein and anthropos. And the word became and the word became a man, and he was among men.
Very good. Excellent. The word a man became, and he was in men or among men. Good. Well done.
Okay.
All right.
We'll go on with number 9.
Yes.
Nomos egeneto dia. It will be Museus.
Yep.
Kai he agape ton theou. Oh no, tu theou dia Jesu Christu egeneto.
Very good.
So I've got, the law was given through Moses, and the love of God came through Jesus Christ.
Excellent. That's a great way to translate it. And you can see again that egeneto is very rubbery. That is a nice way to translate it. The law came, the love of God came through Jesus Christ. Now, in John chapter 1, I think it's verse 18, it actually says grace and truth came through Jesus Christ. But we don't know those words yet, so I thought we'd just go with the love of God instead.
Cool.
Okay, and last one, number 10.
Yep, last one. Ioannis, Pepe, Ton, Yesun, Kai, Lege, Ho, Amnos,
Yes.
to Theu, and then Autos, Lambane, Ton, Hamatian, to Cosmu. So John looks at Jesus and says, the Lamb of God. He takes the sin of the world.
Very good. Excellent. All right. Okay, I'm just going to save this lesson 7 with that correction. Just give me a second.
Yep.
All right. Well done. Excellent. All done there. So we have slightly dumbed down John chapter 1 in that homework exercise, but not too much. We're actually using the vast majority of the words in our homework exercise there. So well done with translating that. Okay, so let's have a look at where's our, I need to put up let's have a look at the vocabulary today, and this is just more about prepositions. So where are we? Here we are. Okay. I wonder if we could take that up a little bit in size. There we go. So last lesson we learnt some prepositions which we found out were words that you stick in front of a noun or a pronoun, like into the house or away from him. And these prepositions, I can't remember all the ones we did last time. These were some of the most common ones. Es is into, pros is towards, ek is out from, apo is away from. I think we did en, which is in, which is the most common Greek preposition. And then that was the big 5 we did. We obviously must have done dia as well, because you remember that one. So dia means through, as in diameter, a line through the center of a circle. Dia, and we found out that different prepositions take different cases. They force the noun that follows after their position in the sentence to take a certain case. And we learned a little bit about how actually it was the other way around, that the nouns once upon a time had a certain case, and they conscripted prepositions into the sentences to make things slightly more precise. And so it's not the prepositions changing the case of the nouns at all, it's the other way around. But the prepositions nowadays, they dominate the noun that comes after. And so we have to learn the case that goes with these prepositions. So here are some new ones, and these ones are a little bit trickier to remember because these are prepositions with 2 cases. In other words, you can have the same preposition and the same noun, but if you change the case of the noun or the pronoun, it changes the meaning of the pronoun. So these are a little bit of a memory challenge. I'll tell you how I remembered them, and sometimes still have to use these memory tricks to help me. So kata, it means, when it's in the accusative case, it means according to, and you can see that those two words, according to and accusative, both start with ACC. So when you see kata and a noun in the accusative case, you've got to remember accusative, ACC, according to. And when kata is with a noun in the genitive, just remember that G, because it means against, AG. So that's how I remember it. And in English, we talk about a catalogue as a listing of all sorts of things. The original meaning, and you'll still find this in a few very rare cases in the New Testament, of kata is down. So a catalogue is actually a listing down of all the things that you want to put into a list. So I shouldn't have told you that, because that gives you three meanings for kata now. Down. And you'll find this in some combinations of words with kata and another word joined together, fused into a word. Sometimes it means down, its original meaning. But the most common uses of it are according to and against. And those two meanings are almost the opposite of each other. Kata, according to, means you're going along with something, you're in agreement with it, whereas against is you're in opposition. Okay, now meta. Meta is pretty hard to remember the two things, but with the genitive, it means with. Now, the way I remember this is from German at school, and the word in German for with is mit, M-I-T, and they obviously get it originally from Greek. Meta with the genitive means with. So I haven't ever found any really good, cool memory aid for meta with the accusative. So that's one you've just got to remember. Meta in the accusative case means after. That can be after time, or sometimes even after position of something else in some list or some other spatial connection. Then hyper or hyper means above. So someone who's hyperactive is super active. And without with the genitive, it means on behalf of. I'm afraid I haven't got any good memory aid for on behalf of. Hypo is hypodermic, so under the skin. Derma is the word for skin. Hypodermic is a syringe that goes under the skin. And hypo with the genitive is by, and we're going to find out a little bit more specifically what it means in a few lessons time, because we could also use the dative for by. So you could say that you remember the dative, we talked about the dative case having an instrumental usage, just without any preposition, just the dative put into a noun put into the dative. Sometimes it means with a word, instrumental. What is the difference between with a word in the dative and by a word? Well, actually, you never say by or hyper a word, even though you're using word as an instrument. It's used for what we call an agent, a person who you do something by. You send an agent, a human being, to maybe deliver a letter, but you use an inanimate object, an instrument, to do something with. Okay, so anyway, we will come back to hypo in a few lessons time. Now, the next one, sin, is very simple. We have lots of words in English with sin at the front of them. So symphony is probably the most commonly recognized one, which means to sound together, to sound with. And sin takes the dative. But we have lots of other words. Synergy means things that energetically work together. They work with each other. Symbiosis are two animals that their life depends upon the existence of the other. Like there are some parasites that have a symbiotic relationship with their animal host, and the parasite keeps the animal alive, and the animal obviously provides a home so that the parasite can stay alive. Symbiosis, living together. So sim is one of the easiest Greek prepositions to remember. So there's a number of other 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more Greek prepositions. And now what we're going to see is Greek really likes to build up words mathematically. And you have simple words and it just connects them together like Lego, and you get a compound word. Sometimes these compound words retain the force of both of the original compounds, components that have been merged together. Sometimes the preposition in this new compound word, it transforms the meaning of the word altogether. We'll see some examples of that. So apoluo means to loose off or to release, sometimes to dismiss. And that case, the apo is, in a sense, it's just intensifying the meaning of luo, to loose. I release, I dismiss. Parakalo, here's a word in which you call kalo someone alongside you to help you, to encourage you, maybe even to be your advocate in court for you. So this is what the word that's used for the Holy Spirit in John's Gospel, chapters 14 and 16, the Paraclete. And it's translated in a multitude of ways by different Bible translations: the Comforter, the Helper, the Advocate over in 1 John chapter 2. Parakalo means, the best way just to simply remember it is to use this simple definition: I encourage. Peripateo, we have an English word based on this, peripatetic, which means just to walk around. Peri means around. Pato means like an English foot patting on the ground, okay? And so peripateo is the normal word for walk in Greek. Ekbalo, I throw out, cast out. Proskuneo, this is a word that it's hard to see where they got the two parts, how they got them to fit together to make a new word. So yeah, it means to worship. And this word itself always takes the dative of the thing that's being worshipped. And it's almost like I worship to this thing. I worship towards this thing, maybe. So if it says that I worship God, God becomes theo with the dative form of it. Or I worship a man, it's I worship anthropo. So it takes the dative. Synago means to bring together or to gather together. Ago means to bring or to lead. And this is where we get synagogue from. A synagogue is where people are gathered together. Hupago, on the other hand, is another word that you sort of scratch your head and say, how did they get this meaning out of that? Hupago means to depart. It's like the opposite of synagogue. And then two little, I don't know what you call these words, particles maybe. Pos means how, and pu means where. When my boys were learning Greek in their teens in this class here, they found these two words quite humorous. I'm not sure why. Maybe just boy humor, particularly poo, I think, and they were able to remember it. Anyway, so there's vocabulary today, plus a little bit of more grammar about some more prepositions and the cases they take and the meanings. And yeah, use a cheat sheet for a few weeks to help you work with these prepositions with 2 cases. There are some prepositions with 3 cases. For example, even para and peri. I think we've done peri already. And epi, we might not have done epi yet. Some of these ones, they can take 3 cases and they have slightly modified meanings. So for example, para, if it is para plus the accusative, it's I am going along towards something, whereas if it's in the dative, I am alongside it. in location, and then para with the genitive can mean moving away from beside. So some prepositions take 3 cases, but these ones here are very, very common, these 5 here. Kata, meta, hupa, hupo, and sin. And they're very high frequency prepositions, and you have to learn for the first 4 of them both common meanings when they take a different case. So really you've got 8 vocabulary items in the first 4. So this is a big, hard vocabulary sheet. And don't be too worried if you can't remember it all straight away, because it takes a bit of usage before you assimilate it. Any questions about any of those vocab or preposition comments?
Just one thing to clarify. Does the thing that we learned from the first few lessons still apply? So specifically, I'm referring to the kaleo part. So when they write in the Bible, these words, the epsilon is actually taken out. It's just there for the dictionary purpose. Like
exactly, this is correct for parakaleo and peripateo and proskuneo. We only say them that way so we can remember that they've got a few little jinx in their endings, but that is not the way a person in the street would say them. They would say parakalo, peripato, and proskino in I encourage, I walk, and I worship. So it's only a dictionary. It's the theory definition. It's not the way it's used in practice. But it's useful to remember them this way because it helps us to remember what the endings are of certain forms of it. Yes. Okay. All right. Well, let's get rid of that screen there. Let's do an exercise to help start working through some of these new and old prepositions, and you can use the cheat sheet. I've just given you the vocabulary sheet, no problems. Have a go at translating that exercise there, John.
yeah, I'm just trying to make the screen a bit bigger. Okay. Oh, all right. I guess that would do. All right. Diaton nomon would be through the law. Through the law.
Ooh, maybe I haven't given you the double. Maybe I haven't given you the double meaning of dia, because dia is one of these ones that takes 2 meanings. I think in the last lesson, let's have a look back at lesson 7 vocab on our sheet here. Yeah, I haven't given you. So let's have a look at Mr. Duff and chapter on prepositions. So if we come to page 46, here we have, yes, I'm afraid this is my fault again. Dia, you'll notice these prepositions with 2 cases. Paragraph 4.2.3 in Mr. Duff. Dia, it has 2 forms. Okay, we have learnt last week or last lesson the genitive. Dia means through, as in diameter, but when it's got the accusative, it means because of. So we're going to have to amend my notes somewhere there to put this in as well. I only gave you the most easily memorable form of it in the previous lesson. So I really probably should put this in the lesson 8 vocab. Dia with the genitive means through the middle of. Dia with the accusative means because of. So let's go back to Let's see where we are. Diatonomon then is with the accusative, not with the genitive.
That's right. That's right. So it'd be because of the law.
Correct. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Now we're going to see dia again at the end of this exercise, so we'll have another chance to think about dia again. But these next 5 are from, or 4 of them anyway, are from today's vocab.
Okay. All right. So the next one is kata tu thiu, genitive. So be against God.
Against God, very good.
Yep. And the next one is hyper to curio. And this is genitive. So it's on behalf of the Lord.
Correct.
Okay.
Now for this next one, paratootheu, have a look at Mr. Duff and page 46 again. Here is paragraph 4.2.2, prepositions with 3 cases.
Yep. Another genitive, so it'll be from beside. From beside.
Yeah.
Is that what it says?
Yeah.
Yep. Right. So maybe from God.
Yes. Or we could say from beside God, but probably you would probably find it in the Bible just translated simply as from God. So here we have what we talked about in a previous lesson as the ablative case. Motion away from, as in ek and apo, they are in the genitive case and they are movement away from something. Ek is out of, apo is away from, and they're put in the genitive case because originally there was a separate case for these words, the ablative case, movement away from, and it had been swallowed up by the genitive. And apparently the Greeks didn't like to have too many cases, so they just stuck with 5. But so here is the same sort of thing. Para is from alongside a person, or from God here in this case. All right. And met our tone we've had today.
I guess it's not meta as well. Met our tone. Okay, then is the outcome. That's accusative. Which will be after him. After.
No,
After
this
he.
is actually.
Oh no, yeah, a tone. A tone, of course. This is plural. What's that? Yeah, accusative. And so, wait, was that right? After.
No, it's plural genitive.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, of course. But do we have a genitive? Yeah, we do have a genitive. Yeah, okay, with him.
So
how would you with them? With them?
With them, that's right. So the plural of him is them. And so this is with them.
That's right.
But this is very, very common in Greek. This phrase met, and it could be with him, met autou, with him, or met auton. So for example, the disciples, we often read about them, met autou, they go with him into the boat or onto the land or something like this, into the house, they go with him. Met autou, but here is the plural, with them. Okay, last one there.
Dia to Christu. And this is genitive, so genitive would be the normal through Christ.
Through Christ, very good. So diatonomon is because of the law, dia to Christu is through Christ. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Even learn these prepositions if I try hard enough. With the Lord's help, it is possible. Okay, so let's have a go at translating the
Yep.
sentences with some of these prepositions in them then.
Yep. Okay. So diaton nomon, logon, to curiou, pistuo. Okay.
Pistuo, very good.
Yeah. So that's an accusative. So that's because of
Yes.
the word, the Lord of the Lord, the word of the Lord. I believe.
Correct.
I
Well
believe
done.
because of the word of the Lord. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, because of the word of the Lord, I believe. Very
Yep.
good. Okay, I'm going to try and keep it at this.
Yeah. Make it smaller.
I'm going to try and keep it at this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
we just
Yeah, that
about.
works. That works. Okay. So ho Jesus age tus adelphus pros ta poia.
Correct.
So Jesus age leads
Yes.
brothers. Okay, brothers. Yep.
Yes.
Jesus leads the brothers towards the boat.
Correct. Jesus leads the brothers towards the boats, plural.
Yep.
So
Yep.
that is a neuter noun, to ploion or ta ploia, the boats. Excellent. All right. Number 3.
Yep. Loosen auto carry to hero. Right. Lale is speak.
That's correct.
They speak.
Yes.
So they speak. Of, of him.
To him.
Him.
It's the dative.
Yes. Yes. So through him or for him. Yep.
Yes.
Carries around the
Yes.
temple.
Yes. So the way this is used here, peri can mean around or it can mean about. So
Okay.
they speak to him about the temple.
Let's see. Yeah, can't find the Perry part in the book.
Yeah, they're up on page 47.
All right, I see. Yep. Genitive.
So you don't really need to even worry about two different cases for Perry, because you think about it. Here they say that with the accusative it means around or approximately, but look at the genitive, about. Well, approximately means about or concerning. So they're all saying exactly the same thing, really. Some of them are more spatial and
That's true.
geometrical in their sort of meaning, and some of them are more metaphorical, concerning. But when we're talking about concerning something, we're talking about all the things all around about it, associated with it. So, yeah, you don't even have to worry about that one as a two-case preposition. You just always translate it as about or around or something like that.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, number 4, let's see how much more letters we have. We have two teknu at the end.
That's right. Okay. So legay ho curios case oikiat be hyper to teknu. Okay. So the Lord
Yes.
says
Yes.
oikiat, this is house, the house.
Yeah.
This is plural.
Yes. No.
No. So this is this would be the accusative. No,
It
this
would
is
be
the genitive.
this
Genitive,
is the
singular,
genitive singular.
plural. Oh no, house. House. Um, what's around it? Say the house. Hyper will be what's the technu is genitive. Hypergenitive will be on behalf of the
Yes.
children. The house on behalf of the children.
Now
Mm,
techno is singular, so it's
of the child.
technon,
Yeah.
child.
Yeah.
So
Of the
the
child.
the best way to translate this is to just ignore the verb for a second and say the Lord of the house.
Okay. Okay. The
Says,
The Lord of the house say on behalf of the child.
yeah. Now maybe I should have put the word lale in there. Speaks on behalf of the child. When we put in the word lege, we've actually got to say what he says, but I haven't done that. And the word speaks is a more vague term for communicating. So you don't need to say what the actual words were. The Lord of the house speaks on behalf of the child. Maybe that would be a better way to translate this sentence. But I've used the wrong verb lege in there rather than lale, I think.
Okay.
Anyway, the tricky part there was the expression "Hoc Kyrios tes oikias," the Lord of the house.
Yeah.
Okay, you've done very well realizing that the Lord is the subject and he is the subject of the verb there as well. So it's a tricky one, that one.
Yeah. Okay. The next one we've got ho huios lambane ton arton met out to.
Yeah.
It will be the sun eats bread. This is out on. Okay, takes the bread met with genitive. It'll be with out to with him.
Excellent. Well done. So remember I said this expression met autu or met autone with him, with them, very, very common. And the last alpha of meta drops off because it is being followed by another vowel. Instead of saying meta autu, they just drop it off with an apostrophe. So the son takes the bread with him. Okay. Number 6, this might be the last one. I think I've got a spelling mistake in this one. That last word should be monon rather than monom.
So it should be, what did you say it should be?
It should be monon, not
Monon.
monom. Yes.
Ah, okay. I don't know if we know that word. Monon? Monon?
Okay.
I know
I will need
nomon.
to. Maybe it's nomon. Yeah, let's go with nomon.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay. All right. All right. This is ho theos philae ta erga kata ton nomon. It'll be God loves the word. Okay, this is accusative. Okay, according to the law.
Yes.
Does the work according
So I got that badly word. I've got that last word badly wrong. Instead of nomon, I've got monom.
Yeah.
Okay. So God loves the works according to the law. And maybe we'd have to supply the little word done in there. God loves the works done according to the law. Okay.
That's
So
the
let me just,
poyo. Some variation of poyo.
yes, correct. Yes.
Okay.
Let me just update that document so that it is correct. Very good. Let's get rid of that and that and here. Okay. All right. Where does that leave us? We've done a class exercise. Very good. We've done... Oh, we need to read some Greek New Testament. And we're going to do some more translating. And this time we're going to read in John chapter 6. Can you remember off the top of your head what John chapter 6 is the story about? It's the story of the feeding of the 5,000. So last week in the homework, we did John chapter 1. Here we're going to do some snippets from the story of the feeding of the 5,000. There will be some words in here which you won't know. And some of them I will just put in brackets the English word without filling in the no, they're all in Greek there. So yeah, some of these words here I'm probably going to have to help you with a little bit. Maybe we won't have met them before. Some of the words here are names of disciples, which if you just read them out, you'll get what they are. But yeah, the fact, and here is a good thing with this, is probably the best thing about learning New Testament Greek, and that is if you know your English Bible well enough, you can take an educated guess at some words you don't know because you know the story or you know the letter and where it's going. So this is one advantage that we have in studying New Testament Greek. We're pretty familiar with the English version of it already. So have a go. And again, this is Andrew's dumbed down version of John chapter 6. There are some words in John chapter 6 which we don't know. So I've substituted simpler vocabulary that you do know. I think you need to unmute there, John.
Yes, totally forgot. I was saying, I'm not sure if I recognize the third word, but we'll go with it. Ho Jesus egerei, tous, ho, right, hophtha, interesting, ophthalmus, okay.
Yes.
Kai blepe, opklon, polun, kai lege, pros, Philippon. Okay.
Philippon.
Jesus. Yeah, I don't know what's a verb. Egere.
Okay, so the word egere we might not have had yet. Let me just check and see. It is a verb which means I raise or I lift up. So
Okay.
let's see if we have come across this yet. Egere. No, lesson 11, I think. So there is an even more egere, egero, I lift or I raise, is a pretty common word in Greek. It's not one we've learned so far. There are one or two other really rare words, and it's unfortunately one of the rare words that John uses. So yes, we will come across this problem of vocab that's a bit unusual. Anyway, Jesus raised.
Yep.
Have a guess at what the next word there is.
That's a pretty hard guess. The
Ophthalmus.
yeah, well, I guess I could only try to figure out from the rest of the thing, I think.
No, just listen to the sound of the
No?
word. Ophthalmus.
Ophthalmus. Ophthalmus.
So we have in English we have optometrist.
Yeah, that's right.
And then we have ophthalmologists. And an ophthalmologist is an eye doctor, an eye specialist.
Right, I
Whereas
see.
the optometrist, they're more concerned with their glasses.
Yeah,
so here is
right.
the word for eyes. It's ophthalmos
Yeah.
in Greek.
Okay.
So Jesus raises his eyes.
Yeah. Yeah. And see crowd.
A crowd. Now the word polyn means much, big. So we have the word poly, P-O-L-Y. When my uncle, many years ago, he was a lecturer at what in England they called a polytechnic, which is like a TAFE. All the different, many technical trades, polytechnic. We talk about polymers in chemistry. They are strands, many molecules long. This is the word poly, and there are lots and lots of uses of it in English. So this is a mega crowd, although that's a different Greek word, megas. This is a big crowd.
Big. Yeah. And see big crowd. And say. Okay. Who would? Philip.
Yes, he says to Philip. Very good. Okay. Now, oh dear, there's some other words in here that are going to be a little bit difficult. The third one, maybe.
We've actually seen the third one. Legay, alto, ace, eight. Tone, methitone, alto, Andreas, or Adelphos, Amonos.
Simonos.
Was it S? Oh, yes. Yeah, Simonos, Petros, Petru.
Good.
Says, where's the object?
Yep.
Where's
He
the
says,
object?
it goes straight.
Just he says. Okay, we just have to substitute it into it. He says. Okay, he says. Dative. So to him.
Yes.
Into. Wait, no. Ace X. This will be
Now,
into
this word ace here, you are going to have a bit of a problem with, because you will see that it's actually haze. If I blow it up a little bit, it's haze with a rough breathing, and it's got a funny hat on the top. Now, there are two words in Greek that are exactly the same letters, but they've got different accents and breathings. So ace, with the smooth breathing and no hat, is the word we have learned, into. But haze is the numeral uno, the numeral one. So, and to distinguish between the two of them, what we do is in our lessons, in most introductory Greek grammars, they print the accent over the top, whereas the normal preposition into, ace, it doesn't have an accent. But this is an accent, not a breathing, and it talks, it sort of describes the tone of voice that's to be used. Now, we're not learning about accents in this course, except in the few cases where an accent is useful to distinguish two words with the same letters but a slightly different pronunciation. Just like in Chinese, ni hao, is ni hao Chinese?
Yep.
And there's different tones of voice that you can say it in. Same with Greek. Different ways you can say it, and this accent helps to distinguish that this is the slightly less common word ace. In fact, it's hace. So this is the word one. He says to him, we could almost put a comma in here, one ekton matheton.
One out of one out of the students.
Yes. So he says to him, one of the students.
Yep. One of the students. Two just like
his students.
His students of him. And Andrew.
Yes.
Brother.
Yes.
Of Simon Peter.
Correct. Andrew, the brother of Simon Peter. So it's not quite clear from this sentence on its own who is doing the speaking here. Is it Jesus says to him, or is it Andrew, one of the disciples, who says to him? Well, we'll see in question 3 who's doing the speaking.
Yeah. Estin Paidion.
Yep.
Hode Kai
Yep.
Eke Hente Artus.
Correct.
The second and third word are new, I think.
Okay, so let me give them to you.
Something.
Paidion. Yep. Paidion is a word we have brushed up against it in one of our Greek Advanced Bible Study lessons, where we were talking about the 2 Greek words for child. One is teknon, and the other is paidion, as in pediatrics, pedophile. I'm sure there's some other words with ped in them. This is the word. This is another word for child. So, and hoda is an adverb here, Here. So have a go now.
Yep. It is, or he is, child. Yes. Here. I don't know. And he has, I guess, has.
He has, yes.
Another new word.
Yep, pronounce this one and you might guess it straight off.
Pente sounds like 5.
Yes.
5 bread. 5 bread.
Yeah. 5 loaves.
Here is a child. So here is a child. Is that right? Here is a child and he has 5 bread.
5 loaves. Yeah. So that's a good way of translating it. Oftentimes with this word estin in Greek, it's used in a slightly different way to what we would say in English. So in most English Bibles, this verse is translated, and it's translated from these very words. There is a child here, and he has 5 loaves. Now, in Greek, they don't use the word there, but estin carries within it sometimes this meaning. Instead of saying is a child here, we put in this helping word, there is a child here. Or you could translate it, a child is here, but we don't say that in English. We put in this helping word, this auxiliary word, there is a child here. So often when you see estin in a sentence, you've just got to plug in this sort of filler word, there. There is a child here and he has 5 loaves.
5 loaves.
Any other comment or question on that one?
That sounds good. Yep.
Okay, let's go with number 4.
Yep. Ho Jesus poi tous anthropus hana Pesane. And the what? I don't even know how to pronounce that. Hortos.
Good.
I can't really see the left side of it. Yeah. Police. And her. Yeah, quite a lot of new words. All right.
Yep.
Jesus. Yep. Jesus makes or does the.
Yes.
Makes a man.
Yes.
Man. Plural man.
Yes. Now this word here, I've just
no idea this word.
I've just dragged this straight out of John's Gospel, chapter 6, because there's no other simple word we already know that we can plug in for it, and it just means literally it means to fall up. Anna is up. Pesein means to fall, but it's the idea of Jesus makes the men sit down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sit down.
Now
Okay.
the rest of the sentence, kortos means green grass, or they don't actually put the word grass in here. It's just because there was much greenery.
Green.
It's just
Okay.
like we get the word, and maybe that kortos, let me just have a look at that. Maybe kortos is the actual word for grass rather than, I think there's one of the gospels speaks about the green grass. Kortos is John chapter 6 verse 10, and kortos just means grass. Okay, so I was thinking it might be green, but it's grass.
Okay.
So that will help you a little bit with the rest of the sentence.
Yeah. And it was like it was but grass.
Yes,
It was
that's
but
correct.
grass. Yeah.
So
And only many. It was but many grass in. Don't know what's the last word either.
okay, so topo is the dative of a word topos, and we get topography from it. We get topographical maps. Topos means place. So that's a bit of a hard sentence to translate. This is probably not doing you any good in your confidence of reading Greek, but here is a translation of that whole sentence. Jesus makes the men sit down, and or now. The word isn't always a adversative sort of contrastive conjunction, but it's sometimes just a connective conjunction. So we could translate it, now there was grass much in the place. So just like with Eston in question 3 above, where we had to plug in the word there, here in the past tense of the same word, ein is just the past tense of Eston, we're going to do it again. Now there was much grass in the place. So ein and Eston, they sometimes require us to make English sound polished and polite. They require us to stick this word there in. Now there was much grass in the place. So that was a bit of a difficult one. I'm sorry about that, but we've got to tell the story.
Is the now part as well? The now also added into it, or
No, that's just de.
okay,
So
right.
We normally translate it as but. Here, however, but is too strong a translation. Jesus makes the men sit down, but there was much grass in the place. Doesn't really make sense, because if we translate it as but, we would prefer a sentence that was something like this: Jesus made the men stand, but there was much rocks in the place. And the logic of the sentence requires that the two of them go together. They are sitting down because there was much grass in the place, not because there was not any grass in the place. If you get my meaning. So the word dirt, if you look it up in a concordance and just see the number of times it is translated in different ways in English, probably the most common way is translated as but, and so we use that as a dictionary definition. But oftentimes it's best to translate it as now, or even and, a very weak connecting and. And you see, originally in Greek, there was no punctuation even. So they used little words like and but to signify the start of a new sentence. De never takes the first place in a sentence. It always takes the second place in a sentence. So It's a bit of a filler word that almost is functioning like a comma or a full stop in ancient Greek before they used punctuation marks. So yeah, in John chapter 6 verse 10, it is translated. Here is the KJV, and I'll say the word de, the English equivalent of de, in a loud, dramatic voice. Jesus said, "Make the men sit down. Now there was much grass in the place." Some Bibles, like the NIV, they do not translate de at all here. Here is how the NIV translates it. Jesus said, "Have the people sit down, full stop. There was plenty of grass in that place." So it's such a weak and mild connecting word that sometimes some translators say, "I'm not going to translate it at all." Others go for now. The NLT says, "So they all sat down." Now, the NLT, it shouldn't really be called a Bible translation. It's just a children's Bible. It just does whatever it likes with the Bible. The NASB, which is a very literal Bible, it uses the word now. So does the New King James. So you can see some of the range of translations that are given for de. But just for keeping it in your memory, just use the word but. Okay, number 5.
Jesus legay autois amen double amen
Yep.
lego hype who mean I mean the take may the last word is it just hoti the pay the may
I'm just playing around with settings to see if we can get a little bit more purchase on this.
yeah.
It's not doing it. Where are we? Let's just go back to where we were. I think we were there. So, sorry, I've been mucking about there trying to make it as big a font size as I can without obscuring words. Here we go.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, this is good. Yep. Oh yeah. Okay, I missed the word. Okay. Oops, there. But quite a bit of new words as well. I think Jesus says, "Boys seems to be too dumb."
Yes.
Not sure what the 2 words are.
Just
Amen.
pronounce them again.
Amen. Amen.
Yeah.
Amen.
Amen. It's the word
Oh yeah.
amen.
Yes. Amen. Okay. Yeah. Amen.
So
Amen.
this is the word that
Amen.
we use at the end of prayers, and in
Yeah.
New Testament it's translated as truly, truly, or verily, verily, or
Yeah.
truly I say. Sometimes they
Okay, I say.
translators don't use both of the words.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yep.
Truly, truly, I say. Not sure about what that word is. The Tete, we would have Zito, it would seek. So
Yes.
you plural seek. Not sure what may is. Not.
Yeah, just pronounce it as quick as you can.
Yeah.
You
Me.
seek me. You seek me.
Oh, me. You seek me, not hoti. Don't know.
Hoti is a word that means because.
Okay. not because it sees sign.
Yeah. Now I think I've
Sign.
put the wrong. I think I've put the wrong
Ending for the
form.
blepe.
Blepe. Yeah, it should be not because you see a sign, but it should be blepe or
Pete.
blepeta. Blepeta. Yes. So this whole sentence there should be coming out in English as Jesus says to them, "Truly, truly, Lego, I say, humin is to you plural." Okay, we haven't come across this yet. Truly, truly, I say to you, you seek me not because you see the signs or signs. Semia is the plural of semeon. So I'm going to need to amend that little file too. I'm having a bad session tonight. Let's see, Greek 8 class reading, and I need to change that to blepeta. Okay. You seek me not because you see signs, and Jesus goes on, but because you got fed. That's why you're looking for me.
Okay. I'll go on to the sixth.
Right.
Yep. Ho gar
Yep.
artos to the estin ho ek. Oops.
Sorry, I just updated that sheet, so it's
Right.
done
Yeah.
it automatically.
That makes sense.
It's chucked it up in front of you without me. Let's see if it's changed it. It has. Look at that blepeta, the wonder of modern computing technology. I just saved the thing and it automatically did all that. Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, number 6 we're up to, eh?
I'm just wondering if there's supposed to be no, it's not supposed to be. There's not supposed to be an I, the zitete thing, right? Zito.
Yes, no, there is supposed to be there. That's one of the peculiarities of these EW verbs. The second person plural goes EI as well.
So
it
for
is
blepe, it would be, it's like, what's that, right? For blepe?
Yes, that's
Can't
just the
remember what is the
normal.
original form.
Yeah.
Right.
So luo, lues,
Yeah.
lue,
Yeah.
luomen, lueta, luuten. This is the normal verb. Zeteo, because it's an EW one, it's got a slight difference.
Okay. Blepo. Yeah, of course. Okay, cool. Go on with the 6. Ho gar artos to theus estin ho ek to uranu.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know what gar is. The something bread.
Gar. Okay. Gar is another little word which means for.
4. Like number 4 or
No, just like the FOR, just a connecting word.
okay. It would be for the bread of God is the is from the heaven.
Yes.
Out
No,
of the
very good.
heaven. Out. Yeah. Okay.
There's only one strange word in this one, and that is ho before ek.
Yeah,
For the
exactly.
bread of God is, now ho here is the, but it's a masculine singular, and masculine singular articles are normally referring to a person in most narratives. So we can almost translate this way. For the bread of God is the person out of heaven, or the man from heaven. Because we don't need to put in the word man there. The word ha is masculine already. And sometimes the Bible does this. It doesn't put in the word the one from heaven. I'll read you exactly what the Greek says here in the Bible. I wonder what verse that is. True, that's going to be hard. because there's 70 verses in this chapter, and I've picked a few verses out. I'm not going to read you out what the Greek says here, actually. You're just going to take my word for it that oftentimes they will not put in a word like anthropos there. They will, or they won't even put the numeral one, is the one from heaven. The word the in the masculine singular tells you it's a singular person, and it's a masculine person. So some Bibles will translate like this: for the bread of God is he who is from heaven. Okay. This is one of the benefits, or maybe not the benefits. It is a benefit, but it's a very painful lesson to learn. The way that Greek is actually written in the Greek New Testament. It's not all as polished, as perfect grammatical forms would lead us to expect. Sometimes they drop words here, and there are words implied in sentences. So, for the bread of God is the one out of heaven.
Okay. I'll carry on with.
Yep.
7.
Number 7. I think we can fit that one in all the way.
That's right. Lege autois ho Jesus ego eimi ho artos e zo zome
That should be just Zoes.
No way. Okay. Cool.
Watch this.
All right. What was it? Oh, it would be.
I'm going to do this trick.
They.
Dear me.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Here we go. I'll bump it up again. Look at that.
Yeah, yeah.
It even
That's good.
this
That's
program
good.
I'm using over the internet just grabs the file even as soon as I save it and brings it back to exactly the same position on the page. I'm very impressed with StreamYard. So there we go. Spelling correction.
Yep. Yep. So it'll be Jesus says to them,
Yes.
I am the bread of life.
Correct.
Of the life.
Yeah. And here is an instance again in which the Greek does not sound right to us in English, but this is the way they use it. They stick in the word the before life. I am the bread of life is the way we are used to it in English. But in Greek, they've actually stuck in the word the in there. Okay, and the last one, number 8.
Will be Allah lego Hussein hoti kai pepete me kai u pistu ete.
Yeah.
All right. Don't know what Allah is.
Allah is a very strong but, okay? Whereas de
Okay.
is a very weak one, and sometimes it's just a connecting word, like now. Allah is a very adversative but. But Lego, I say.
Okay. Yep. Yep. All right. I gotta recall what those two words are, but I think it's but I say. Can't remember what Hussein, and then hoti is because.
Yes. Humin is to you.
Or humin. Yep. To you. I say to you. Yep. All right. But I say to you because and you see me and not you believe.
Correct. Okay. Now, hoti, I told you a little bit earlier that it means because, and it can also mean that. We'll come on to the word hoti in a few vocabulary lessons time. And so it can mean because, it can mean that, and sometimes it can mean for, F-O-R. So here is how I would translate it. But I say to you that also you see me and you do not believe. Now the word kai, sometimes it takes a slightly different meaning. Where it doesn't seem to make sense in English, use the word also instead of and. Sometimes even instead of and. But I say to you that you even see me and you do not believe, or you also see me and do not believe. So in English, the word and is, it's sort of functions like a plus sign, okay? In maths, you have something and something else. And in Greek, it functions even more like a plus sign, in that if you say this, also that, they use the word kai for also often. I say to you that you also see me, or you even see me, and you do not believe. So yes, unfortunately, kai, even though it is one of the most common words in the Greek language, it doesn't always carry this meaning of just the basic and. Sometimes it has this sort of plus sign, and other meanings like even or also. Well, that was a very rough introduction and a very bruising encounter with real Greek in the New Testament, plus a few of my spelling mistakes to make it even worse. And vocab which we haven't run into yet, but it is pretty close to the real thing. I'm taking legitimate sentences out of the Greek New Testament to do this, and yeah, you'll have to forgive me that there are lots of words in there which we haven't run into yet. So don't be too stressed about them, the ones that you haven't learned in vocabulary. But yeah, we will run into some of the more common ones lots of times, and then we'll get them in our vocabulary later in the course, and you'll say, that word that we've been running into all these times. Okay, so how are we going for time? What is it? 8:48. Dear me.
Yep.
We have got to finish up. So we have done reading in class. We have done
just
that
advanced Bible study left.
Just the advanced Bible study left, and it's pretty good. We've got nothing too much left. Let's just have a look at this homework lesson just before we have a look at the advanced Bible study. So you will see in number 2 here that instead of putting in the Greek in brackets, I've put in some English translation to help you out, okay? Just like we've done in John chapter 6. John chapter 6, there were lots of vocab you haven't seen yet. So rather than putting in words you haven't learnt yet and trying to work out where they are, sometimes I put them in. There are some words in these exercises for homework, however, that you need to look up the dictionary in the back of Duff. Okay? In the back of Duff, it's pages 302. There's a Greek English dictionary, and it lists all the vocab that Duff gives us, 306 down to 309. No, 329. What?
Yeah.
So
there's an English, English to Greek and Greek to English.
Okay. So yeah, we only need the Greek to English, the first part of that.
Yep.
And you need to maybe look up some words in that to try and answer. There are some names in this list here. Like, for example, in question 4, it says Yordani. Over here, where my mouse is going off, Yordani.
Yep.
That is just Jordan, okay?
Jordan. Yep.
And you won't probably find that word in the Duff dictionary, but most of the other place names, because we're in Mark chapter 1 for the homework this week, for example, there's Galileas, Nazareth. So have a go at this homework. Hopefully there won't be too many words that you can't find. some of those small words in that class reading exercise, like hoti and gar and Allah, you will find them in Duff. So look up any little words that you can't find. If you're really stuck, it's probably a mistake that I've made putting in a word that I shouldn't put in. But there won't be too many words that you won't find in Duff, in his dictionary. And listen, here's the way Greek reading goes. Even when you finish this course, I have been reading Greek now for 30 years, okay? And I still have to look up my Greek lexicon, my Greek dictionary to find words. So even when you finish this course, if you start reading the Greek New Testament, you need to do it with a dictionary. So get used to using the dictionary up the back of Duff to find any strange words that you're not familiar with, and just get used to using a dictionary. We don't need to become walking encyclopedias of Greek. We want to be able to read about 70 to 90% of the Greek on there, and some rare words that are only mentioned once in the Greek New Testament, well, we might have to look up a dictionary and scribble down a note in the margins of our Greek New Testament to help us remember it next time. So, yeah. Enjoy that Mark chapter 1 translating. It shouldn't be as hard as John chapter 6. All right, I'm going to sign off there. I think my voice is getting a bit croaky. I don't know why it is, but I always force my voice too hard when I'm on class here instead of letting it speak gently. So there's a number of interesting translation issues in the Advanced Bible Study, and you can read through that. If you've got any questions, you can shoot me an email through if there's anything there that doesn't seem to make sense. I've just been enjoying this last point 3 today, so I wrote out these notes today.
Right.
And there might be some spelling mistakes or things I haven't completely finished off there.
Okay.
But anyway, let's finish off there, and I'll close in prayer, and you can read through that at your leisure. Heavenly Father, we give you thanks for your help, and the lesson tonight has been difficult in some parts. We pray that you might grant help with the homework and encourage John and also Jake as he does the work too, that even though it's difficult, it's worth persevering with, because we get to read your word. And as the Advanced Bible Study shows, there are lots and lots of very, very important and helpful lessons to be learned by reading in the original Greek. Father, so help us and bless us as we study your word. We pray for your blessing upon us in the week ahead in the name of our Lord Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Thanks, Andrew.
Okay. No, thanks, John. We'll leave it there, and see you next week.
Yep. See you.